Hey everybody, it's Michael from Wahoo Comics here with another haul and speculation video. And as usual, I've got a bunch of books I'm looking forward to showing you. But today I have one that I'm especially excited about because I picked up one of my personal grails in Daredevil #1, which of course contains the first appearance of Daredevil, as well as some of his supporting characters like Karen Page and Foggy Nelson. And I am thrilled to add this book to my collection. I've always been a big fan of Daredevil for many reasons. One of the primary ones is because his books explore a lot of religious philosophy, which I'm really interested in. But there are lots of other reasons as well. In more recent years, I really loved his Netflix series, and that made me an even bigger fan of the character. And speaking of that Netflix series, as many of you know, Kevin Feige recently announced that Charlie Cox is going to reprise his role as Daredevil in the MCU. And potentially as early as No Way Home, which just came out earlier this week. Now, I haven't had a chance to go see that movie yet. I'm hoping to see it sometime this weekend, so I don't know. Probably some of you already know by now. But regardless of whether or not he shows up in No Way Home, he should show up pretty soon in the MCU. And of course, that's going to just cause this book to grow more and more in value as the character becomes more in demand and more popular once he reaches the big screen. And so I am super happy to have this book in my collection now. And there's something really interesting about this copy. I don't know how much you can tell on your end, but there's a piece of Scotch tape that goes all the way down here. And something I found out earlier this year, that decades ago, like around the Silver Age, retailers would sometimes put tape all the way down. And the reason they would do that would be to try to preserve the book. The idea was, well, if there's this tape here, it's much less likely the spine is going to split, and that will help it retain its value. But ironically, here decades later, it's actually considered a flaw to have that tape on it. And so even though it was meant to preserve its value, it actually hurts its value. Now, I knew that when I bought the book. I didn't get this book and then all of a sudden be like, oh no, there's tape on it. Oh, shoot. But I knew it, which ended up being good in the sense that it made this book, of course, much more affordable, while yet looking a lot nicer than the grade will be, whatever it will be. And in fact, because there's some uncertainty with what this is going to be graded at, because I am going to send it to CGC, the seller did something really cool. Now, this is a seller that I've bought a lot from. I've mentioned him before. He's the one that I send some money to each month, and then every quarter I get a shipment of books, and this book came in with the latest shipment. And what he did for this one, he sold it to me at a 1.0 price point, with the idea that once it comes back from CGC and we find out what it really is, I'll send him more money to make an adjustment. But it was super cool of him to offer to do that, so that there's no risk on my end. I've had sellers before who we kind of reached what we thought was the grade, and then we make up the difference on either side. But he's the first one who just said, hey, just take it at a 1.0 and you can pay me whenever you find it. And man, I really appreciated that for a lot of reasons, but for one of the reasons, it really meant a lot to me that he put that kind of trust in me, that he knows that I'm not just going to screw him over and just take this and run and ghost him, and because this seller's in Canada, so I don't even know if he could do anything if I did screw him over. Yeah, he put trust in me, and it's been really cool this year as I've gotten more serious about buying. Building some friendships with some really cool sellers, and I've tried to make a point to really show my appreciation to the sellers, and I do genuinely appreciate them giving me the opportunity to own some really cool books, and it's really been a benefit to me because they've really been willing to work more with me on things like this when they see that I really I'm not just some con artist or just somebody who cares just about the financial transaction of it, but somebody who really treasures their comics. Because of course, especially big time comics like this, we develop an emotional connection to, and I think the sellers really appreciate knowing that their books are going to someone else who will care for them just the way they have for many, many years. And so I'm really thankful. And in fact, my friendship with this seller has grown so much just through emails and things like that. Along with these comics, he sent a separate package for Christmas just filled with candy and chocolates for me and my family. And it also included a copy of Star Wars Weekly Magazine #1. And he just sent that for free. And it ended up being kind of a funny story because he sent these comics with expedited shipping, and he sent the candy just with regular postal shipping. As I've mentioned before, USPS has been kind of a disaster this year. And so the candy actually arrived first. And so I got this box of the mail. I was expecting to open up my Daredevil #1, and I open it up, and all I see is a bunch of candy. And at first I'm really confused about it. But then I see the label and see, oh, okay, this is just a candy box. Oh, he just sent this to me just out of the kindness of his heart. And so that was really, really cool. And then, of course, a couple of days later, these books came in. And I'm really, really happy about that as well. But I picked up not only this one from him this time, but also Conan the Barbarian #1. And he made the same deal with this one. This one also is one where there's some uncertainty about the grade. Most of the books I've gotten from him are very high grade, near mint copies. But these that aren't quite there, he sold this to me at a 1.0, and then I'm going to send it off to CGC. And when it comes back, I'll pay him the difference between the 1.0 or whatever it comes back as. And I think I'm hoping it could come back. It's mid-grade. It's got some wear along the spine. A 5 to a 6 with the clean press would be awesome. We'll see. But regardless, of course, this is the first appearance of Conan the Barbarian, and so one that is really cool that I don't have, that I'm super happy to add to my collection. It's got this awesome Barry Windsor Smith cover, and so really, really sweet. A few others I got from him, and these are all high-grade copies. My third copy of Star Wars #1 from him, and my fourth copy. And I've got one more copy that I'm going to be buying from him. And I, of course, love this book. I love Star Wars. There's obviously a lot of first appearances of important characters in this book. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, R2-D2, C-3PO. And so happy to have 2 more copies of that one, along with my second copy of Star Wars #2, which contains the first appearance of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, and Chewbacca. And really thankful to have these books as well. And then one other one I got from him, this is certainly of much less value than any of these other ones, but it's Eternals #1, the second volume, and this contains the first cameo appearance of Phastos, who of course was in the Eternals movie. And this seller was cool enough to throw in a couple of bonus books, just out of the kindness of his heart. First of all, Smurfs #1, and this is books like this that you can probably pick up for pretty cheap. I think are good things to consider buying. Just because there's always going to be nostalgia and Smurf fans that are out there. I grew up on the Smurfs, and just a cool little book to pick up. And then also Captain Canuck. As I mentioned, the seller's from Canada, and I guess this is kind of like their Captain America. I don't know how big or popular this character is in Canada. I'm really interested to find out more about him because I don't know anything about him. I don't know if it's like just this issue and then like it died out, or if it's still something going on. But again, he just threw it in, so very grateful for that. And then I bought from one other seller recently, and all of these are much more budget keys, but they're all still very cool. So going back to Star Wars, I got Star Wars Episode 1, #1/2. And so this was a special promotion that Wizard Magazine did, where if you bought, I think it was issue 94 of their magazine, they had a coupon where you could send off and get this book. And it's super cool because it contains the first appearance of Anakin Skywalker, of Qui-Gon, of Padme, and Jar Jar Binks. I'm not as excited about that. But again, I love Star Wars. I love first appearances. And so really happy to pick this one up. And if you're looking for a book like that, Star Wars first appearances, this is a good one to look for. Speaking of first appearances, Fantastic Four #248. And this contains the first appearance of Kristoff, who is Doctor Doom's adopted son. We know the Fantastic Four are coming to the MCU. And of course, if they're coming, Doctor Doom can't be far behind. And who knows what supporting characters they're going to add. And so maybe Kristoff shows up at some point. He's the heir to the Latvian throne, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a movie or a TV show at some point. And this is a book that you can probably pick up for a couple of dollars, and so one to consider if you're looking again for budget keys. Also from Volume 3, Fantastic Four 56, Legacy numbering 485, and this contains the first, I think the first art of Gabriel Dell'Otto, but it's a cool thing cover, and I'm happy to have it. I didn't have this one, but speaking of cool covers, here's a cover I didn't even know existed until recently, and I think it is incredible, and I am super happy to have it. It's Spirits of Vengeance number 6, an Adam Kubert cover. And man, this thing is awesome. It is sick. So obviously you see Venom here. Vengeance has been crossed out. Spirits of Venom. I guess he's in the sewer or something like that, and he's crawling upside down. But for his light, he's got Ghost Rider's chain and Ghost Rider's skull as his torch. I think it looks incredible. And so this is definitely just a cover buy, and I'm glad to add it to my collection. Also got Tech World number 1. And so Tech World was this kind of fictional universe that was developed by William Shatner. And there is a TV series made of it, I think in the 90s. But it's been confirmed recently that a reboot of that series is in development. And so this is a book that, again, you can probably pick up for a couple of dollars. And if that show actually does end up coming out, it's going to be something people look for and could really produce a nice return on investment. Again, turning something from $2 into maybe $20, $25 at some point. That's the kind of things I like to do. And I almost picked this for my sleeper of the week, and maybe it should be, but just because I love Kang, my sleeper of the week is going to be this one, Captain America Annual number 11. And this contains the first appearance of Chronopolis, which is Kang's base of operations. And as I've talked about before, I think investing in Kang keys is something to really consider doing now. I think he's going to be big. He, of course, already had a soft debut in Loki, but he's going to be the main villain in the upcoming Ant-Man and Quantumania movie. And who knows what all is going to show up. There's a lot of craziness that can show up with Kang. And so I think there's a great chance Chronopolis shows up at some point. And if that does, then this book is going to climb in value. And really, most of the Citizen Kang storyline, I've highlighted some of the other books. It ran through a few annuals in 1992. Have a lot of first appearances and are ones you can probably find for a couple of dollars and are worth considering picking up. All right. Well, that brings me to my question of the week, and I have a non-comic related question. So I mentioned the first seller sent me a box of candy bars, but just as something fun, I'm curious, what is your favorite candy bar? For me, there's a lot that I like. If we're just, depending on how broadly we define candy bar, I say Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I love the mixture of peanut butter and chocolate, obviously. But if we're talking about strictly bars, I think I'll go with Milky Way. I love caramel. I love chocolate, and I'm not as big a fan of peanuts as some people. So Milky Way is kind of like Snickers without the peanuts. I do like Snickers, but I like Milky Way more. So Milky Way is my pick. But what do you like? All right. Well, that brings me to the end of the video. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you consider doing that. It would help us continue to grow and put out content like this. Comment on the video, answering the question of the week, or any other thing you'd like to mention about comics, things you've been picking up, things we should look for. Of course, no Way Home spoilers. I haven't seen it yet. And considering liking the video, of course, all those things are a big help to me, and I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it, and I'll see you guys next time.